Hi everyone, we are here for our next coding lesson. Miss Jones, Miss Jones, Mr. Parker and I have been incredibly impressed with everybody's effort with their coding. So let's keep it up, and we're going to be learning about making patterns today, which I know everyone has been incredibly excited about. So I'm going to just share my screen and we're going to jump over to our lesson. To warm up our brains, can you work out what shape each of these codes makes? So we learned last week about using a repeating code, the number of times it's going to repeat that code, and then what the code is. So can you work it out? So I'd like you to pause the video, write down on a bit of paper or in your book, what do each of these codes represent? What shape do they make? When you're ready to see the answers, come back and press play. All right, so the first one makes a triangle. The second one makes a circle. The third one makes a square. Oh, that's a terrible U. Going on. I don't know what I just did. A square. The fourth one makes a decagon. And the last one makes a hexagon. And you can always tell what shapes they are based on the number of sides. A triangle has 3 sides. That's why it's repeating 3 times. Fantastic. Right. Just like last week, we're going to think about how far would the arrow turn using these number of degrees. So remember, your arrow will always start facing forwards. So if I do right turn 90, where is it going to end up? I'd like you to point to the direction that you think it's going to end up. And 3, 2, 1, it turns that way. All right, so using your left and right to figure out right turn, 90 degrees means sideways. If it was left turn 360, point, which way do you think it's going to be? And I'm going to show you in 3, 2, 1. 360 degrees, it should be facing upwards again. It's gone all the way in a circle and up. Let's do right turn 45 degrees. So I'd like you to point. Which way do you think it is? And I'm going to show you in 3, 2, 1. There we go. It should be diagonally up on the right. And last but not least, left turn 180 degrees. Point the direction that you think the arrow is now going to face. Show you in 3, 2, 1. It should be facing down, and it turned on its left side. It is incredibly important that we understand how many degrees it is turning and which way it'll end up facing, because it's going to be very important going forward when we're trying to make shapes or letters. So let's imagine now that you want to use your knowledge of coding to write your name. So for example, if I wanted to write boots, I could do Miss Boots, but if I wanted to do boots and it would look something like this, I would need to know how to code every single letter, okay? So I'd need to know how to do a B, an O, a T, and an S, all right? Now, that is quite a lot of code, and I would need to, I don't want to be like having to interfere and type in the B, press enter, type in the O, press enter, type in the O, press enter, type in the T, and then the S. I'd want to do it all in one big code, okay? So that I can then press play and take my hands away and it does it for me, and I get this beautiful BOOTS on the top. However, that is a lot of code. Look at what it looks like if I put that in all together. There's one big long block of code, all right? And it's really hard to read. I've actually hidden a mistake in this code on purpose. Can you spot it? Of course not. You can't even read the code. It's so much information. It's not possible to separate where the individual code for each letter is. Okay, so this is a really inefficient way of coding because it's really hard to correct errors if you can't actually figure out where the code for one letter starts and the code for another letter starts. Okay, so we're going to learn something called procedures today. So a procedure is like a shortcut. Rather than having to type out the whole code every time, I'm going to make a procedure. So to practice making a procedure, I want you to remember or write down what is the code to create a square. All right, so what would I need to do? Remember to use the repeat RPT. How many times? In brackets, what code would it be? So I'd like you on a piece of paper or in your book, pause the video and write down the code for a square. Come back when you're ready to see it. Okie dokie, hopefully you've written down what you think is the correct code for a square. Now, it doesn't matter what length or size your square is, as long as it follows this formula. It should say repeat 4, open bracket, forward, and then you can have any number depending on how big you want your square. I've just said 4, right turn 90, close bracket. So if I was to go and use that code, I could create a square. So I'm going to jump on over to Purple Mash. I go computing, scroll down to ToLogo, open ToLogo, launch app. Remember, we always make sure that our grid is on, okay? Let me get rid of this code. In fact, do you know what? Let me just create a new, there we go, a new one. I make sure that my grid is on. I'm going to slow down my code and I'm going to turn on multi-line mode. That's going to be important today. I'm going to paste in that code, repeat 4, space, forward, space 4, space, right turn, space 90. And if I press play, I just want to check it makes the code. Perfect. All right, so I've made my square there by typing in the code. So we're working down here today in this section called My Procedures. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the Add button. And what shape did I make? I made a square. So I'm going to type in the name is going to be square. Then I'm going to type in the code that I want a square to be. So it's going to be repeat 4, open bracket, forward space 4, right turn 90, close bracket. So I'm just going to go back there. I'm going to type in RPT. I want it to repeat 4 times, open the bracket, forward space 4, space, right turn space 90, close bracket. Before I press OK, I'm going to come and press play. This will give me a preview to make sure my code works, because if I then see, oh no, it's only drawn, if I had a mistake in there and that I'd repeated that 3 times, I could see that mistake. I could go back to the code and fix it up, but I know my code is correct, so I'm going to press OK. So now, instead of typing in that long code, all I need to type in is square and press enter, and it will draw a square. So it's much easier for me to know that square will draw a square rather than just writing in this code over and over. Whoops, what have I done? Whew. There we go. So it's much faster to use a procedure. So what you're going to do first is I would like you to go to Purple Mash, log in, go over to your procedures, and I would like you to make a procedure for each of these shapes. I'm going to leave this screen here so that you can correctly copy in the code. All right. So if you're going to make a triangle, a hexagon, a decagon, or a circle. All right. So for example, you would come over, you would type in triangle. You need to use the whole word, not a shortcut. You would type in this code here, repeat 3, forward 8, right turn 120, RPT 3, code, forward, how many? 8, space, right turn 120, close bracket, test your code, and press OK, and you can see it listed there, okay? Purple Mash will only allow you to have a maximum of, I think, 5 or 6 procedures, so you need to make sure you've got a square, a triangle, hexagon, decagon, and a circle. So pause the video now. Please go and create a procedure for each of those codes. Okay, hopefully you've now coded for each of those. All right, I'm going to reset my code because we're going to now move on. So imagine that I've got the code for a square, or well, actually, don't even need to imagine, I do have it. I've got a 1 square code. What code would I now write if I wanted it to create 2 squares, one after the other? Okay, so I know that I've got the code of square. Oh, that's not square. I've got square is now a code, a term in coding that I can use, square. So when I press square and press enter, I know that my arrow is going to start, let me just get a red pen. It's going to start here. It's going to go up, across, down, and back, and then he's going to face the same way he started, facing up. So I want to figure out how he can then move across and go from 1 square to 2. How he can draw 2 squares without me having to type square, square. So I'm going to make sure that we're using the pen up and pen down today. That's going to be really important. So I need a code that says first he's going to draw a square. So I need the word square. Once he's written the word square, what do I need that arrow to do? I now need him to turn down, but before he does that, I don't want him to draw anything else. So what's the code when I don't want my arrow to keep drawing? I need to use pen up. So I know that my code is now going to say square, pen up. Then what do I want him to do? Right, he is facing up. I need him to turn this way. So that is a right turn. So I'm just going to use my pen to write it. Let's do it this way. Square, pen up, right turn. How far does he need to turn? What is that called? It is a right turn. So it is a 90 degrees. And then I'm going to need him to, now that he's facing down, I'm going to need him to walk forwards. How many steps so that he starts his next square here? So I'm going to need him to go forward. How many steps? Well, I remember that my square code is 4 squares long. So it's going to have to be more than 4. It's probably going to have to be forward 5 steps. Now I'm going to ask you to pause the video here and finish the code. Now, so if this was the square that he drew first, he was facing up, then he turned down, and now he's facing this way. He's walked, now he's sat here facing that way. What does he need to do to turn and draw another square? Pause the video, finish the code, and once you've done that, come back to check your answer. All right, what does he need to do to finish his code? Right, he's here, he's facing down, so he needs to turn this way to face up again. So he's going to need to left turn 90. And last but not least, if I put his pen down up before, I need to put pen down again. And then he's going to write square. So if I was to type in this code, he would draw 2 squares. So let me just check. I have the answer underneath here. Did we get it right? Square, pen up, right turn 90, forward 5, left turn 90, pen down, square. Perfect. So I'm now going to use this to make a repeating pattern. So if I was to come here and finish this code, we said square, pen up, right turn 90, forward 5, left turn 90, pen down, square. So now, might move him across, my arrow should make 2 squares in a row. Let's press play and see what happens. There's one, oh, he turned around. Amazing, excellent. So I can make a repeating pattern, and instead of having to type out the whole code for a square, I've just got the word square in there. So you can see it really speeds up the process. I could then drag him across, press play again. And off he goes. Awesome. So I can make myself a little pattern of squares by typing this code, which is much shorter than having to type out square, 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 and dragging him round. He does it all by himself now. So I know how to make a repeating pattern for 2 squares. What if I wanted 6 squares? So I've got square, 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 square. So I've got 6 squares on the screen. So far, I have the code to draw these 2. I know that this code, square, pen up, right turn 90, forward 5, left turn 90, pen down, square, will draw 2 squares for me. Can you figure out what would I need to add to this code so that it draws 6? Hint, hint, it's the code we learned last week that we've been practicing, that if a shape has a certain number of sides, what do I put at the beginning? So you can pause the video, try to write down a code that you think will draw this. Okay, when you're ready to see the answer, come back and press play. All right, so let me show you what you could do. You could write repeat 6. So you could just put a repeat 6 and then put this code into a bracket. Okay, so you could have square, pen up, right turn 90, forward 5, left turn 90, pen down. Notice that I haven't put that extra second square in there because that would make 2 squares. All right, so if I want to make 6, I only need square once in my code, and then I need to tell the computer, once you've drawn a square, you need to move along to draw the next square. And then it's going to repeat, draws a square, moves along, repeats, draws a square, move along. Okay, if I use this exact code, if there was a second square inside that, all right, then I wouldn't want this to repeat 6 times because that would make 12, because I've got 2 squares times 6 is 12. I would only want it to repeat 3 times. All right, but I'm going to use this code now to check if I've made a repeating code for 6 squares. So let me come across to Purple Mash, and I'm going to get rid of that, and I'm going to reset it, and I'm going to type in repeat 6 square. There's an extra space in there. Pen up, right turn 90. I'm going to move my arrow because otherwise he's going to go across the screen and I won't be able to see him. Here we go. See if he draws 6 squares. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, I can't even see him anymore. Okay, so that's something to be really careful of, that you don't want your squares to go so far off the screen that I can't move him anymore. So if I reset that, and instead of doing it 6 times, I'm just going to do it 5. And to make this faster, because it's going to take too long to watch, I'm just going to speed this up and press play. Yeah, off he goes. So now I could drag my arrow to make a pattern. Let me show you something quite cool. I'm going to move this code down and I'm going to write SETPC. That stands for set pen color. And I'm going to leave a space and I'm going to write a different color, maybe blue. All right. Now I'm going to press play and he's going to draw 5 blue squares. And I'm going to bring him down. Maybe let's go up to hit. And I'm going to change it to red. Oh, don't need to press play. Need to press that one. Off he goes. Maybe I would like some yellow. Let's type that in. So you can start making really cool patterns by having a repeating code. All right, so what I would like you to do is you're going to use this idea of repeat how many times and pick one of the shapes that you wrote about. So whether you did a square, a triangle, a hexagon, whatever it is, okay? And I would like you to do like repeat, so I could just change this. Let me just reset it. What's going on? Why won't you reset? Oh, it did reset. What am I doing? I'm going to change square to be triangle. And I'm going to see if that code still works. It does. Perfect. So I could reset that. I could change it to red. Press play. And maybe I want to come down 2 below, and I'm going to set it to magenta. Magenta. And I'm going to press play. Meow. So go and spend maybe 10-15 minutes just having a bit of a play around, making a repeating code. Like that. All right, looks pretty cool. Once you're ready for the next activity, come back and press play. Okay, guys, so the last thing we're going to do is I'm going to teach you how to make really intricate patterns now. Okay, so we're going to be using these codes here. So you need to have already coded a hexagon, a square, a triangle, and a circle. So I'm just going to quickly go and add those because I don't have them. Let me reset this. Make sure I've got a hexagon, so I need to write in hexagon. Okay, the hexagon code must be this one here. Must be this one here. So you've got a hexagon here, so it should be repeat 6, forward 6, right turn 60. So RPT 6, forward, how many spaces? 6, right turn. Oh, what's going on? 6, right turn 60, close bracket. Check your code. Perfect. I'm going to press OK. I'm going to need a circle. Now, if you've already coded the circle, this is really important. You need to change some of the numbers, okay? For this particular type of coding, here, your circle code is repeat 36, forward 0.3, right turn 10. That's going to be incredibly important, all right? Because if you don't have that, you're going to get, it's not going to work, basically. So I'm going to type in RPT 36, oh, that's a 5, open my brackets, and it's going to be forward 0, full stop, 3, right turn, how many degrees was it? 10. Close bracket. I'm going to press play to check. Oh, it makes a nice little circle. And I'm going to save that. And then I think the last one I need, I've already got triangle. Perfect. So make sure you have a square, a hexagon, and a triangle. And what you're going to do is I'm going to leave this board, this screen up for you. Oh, there we go. And you're going to write this whole code in. So I'm going to show you one of them. All right. I'm going to show you the repeat 72. All right. So let me get rid of this code. I'm going to reset my arrow to be in the middle. And I'm going to type in repeat 72 square right turn 5. So RPT 72. Open that bracket. Remember, it's a square bracket, and then I want to type in the shape that I want, square, and then right turn, is it 5? Yeah, 5, close bracket. Then you can press play, and you can speed this part up if you want, and it will start to make a repeating square pattern. And if you do enough squares, if you do 72 squares, it makes this beautiful wheel shape. Okay. And I might then go, maybe I'll just add in a change the color. So if I move that line of code down and I go set pen color space red, and I'm going to press play, and it's going to make another one right next to it, but in red. Might even go faster. It takes a while because it's repeating this code 72 times, okay? So I'm not going to show you the other shapes. I'm going to let you have a go at finding out what they look like. So you need to pause the video on this screen and have a go at each of those codes. Remember, it will not work if you don't have square, triangle, hexagon, and circle done. And remember, the circle code must look like this. All right. So you're going to write each of these codes in and have a look at what they look like. Once you're ready to find out what you need to do next, come back and press play. All right, hopefully you've now figured out what each of those look like. So the last thing we want you to do, have fun, make a beautiful pattern, put it up on Seesaw for us so that we can see how well you did and how much fun you had making it. Maybe you can make it into a little garden. Maybe you could make each of these a flower, or you can make some fluffy blue clouds by putting 3 of these together. I don't know, it's up to you. All right, take a photo, put it up on Seesaw. We look forward to seeing what you've been up to. That is the end of our lesson today. I hope you've enjoyed doing coding, and I look forward to seeing you next week when we're going to be starting to write letters using a repeating code. Have a lovely day. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.